Hello, welcome to Producer's Profile, and I'm here with my co-host,
Stella Winston.
and my name is Orville Nelson. We have a great show today.
Yes, we do. We have 3 BCAT producers here.
And what a fine bunch of producers they are also. We have Sidney Moshette Jr., we have Phyllis Talefero,
And we have Kitty Chavis.
Kitty Chavis. All right, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
All right. Now, this program is produced by Franz Butler.
Yes, it is. And the purpose of his show is to showcase Brooklyn Community Access Television producers and for them to talk about their shows.
And give us a little bit of their ideas, where it comes from, and what they hope to give the community back with their art. And I wanted to ask a question of Sidney Moshette Jr. Your program is called Bedford-Stuyvesant and Beyond. I wanted to ask, first of all, where do you get that name from?
From the area in which I grew up, got my education, both street and formal, and where I continued to play tennis and to worship St. Philip's Episcopal Church. So I continue with my roots there. Plus, I'm a member of the Brooklyn Old Timers Foundation, which has many of its members
Brooklyn
from that
Alzheimer's?
area. Old Timers
Old Timers
Foundation.
because that reads
Alzheimer's
Yeah, I thought
and
it
Blue
said
Time.
How could you
Alzheimer's
remember?
too, yes.
Kitty didn't like that one.
So the Beyond, where does that
It gives the flexibility to have a venue at any place and pretty much on any topic that would have interest to people.
Well, the title is obvious to me. I just wanted to make sure it got across and
Yeah.
how you came with that name. It's pretty obvious stuff. And then we have Phyllis Talefero. We wanted to ask you about your show, Brooklyn Must Vote.
Well, I know historically that Brooklyn must vote, but I want to bring it up very close. I had been involved with Congressman Downs' Women's Caucus and Reverend Sharpton's Central Committee, and knew the importance of people voting, particularly, I would say, with Reverend Sharpton. And then out of Sharpton's organization, he suggested in '92, after he ran for the Senate, that people who were involved in his organization should run for elective office. So I was involved in that organization and knew the importance
excuse me,
of
you
voting.
did run last year in the year
Yes,
2000.
yeah.
You ran for the, is that the 11th?
Congress,
Is that the
11th Congressional District, yes.
11th Congressional District you ran. And how did that work out, Phyllis Talefero?
Not very well at all.
Why not?
But I'm planning, well, Brooklyn Must Vote talks about why people cannot get insurgent candidates such as myself elected. The power structure is too stacked against the people and ultimately an insurgent candidate. The Board of Election, the Democratic Party are all in bed together, and it's kind of, let's keep the status quo, maintain the status quo, keep the people stupid, don't let them know that we're under the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
But you did, I think it was a valiant effort,
Yes,
and hopefully you'll be doing so again. You did run.
yes, and I'll run again for the 46th Councilmatic District.
So it is not impossible.
No,
That's right.
have to keep fighting.
All right. And there is Kitty Chavis.
Chavis.
Yes. Okay.
And the name of your program is?
Bedford-Stuyvesant Art and Culture Coalition, Incorporated. We started in Bedford-Stuyvesant to actually bring awareness to the people of Bedford-Stuyvesant and the surrounding areas of the many talented, gifted people that have come out of Bedford-Stuyvesant and some who are still residing in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Our coalition consists of writers, musicians, artists like myself, dancers, singers. We have a whole gamut, poets. We have a whole gamut of
So you have
talented people.
this whole gamut that they have over there at the
Ron?
Bedford-Stuyvesant Art and Culture Coalition. So you didn't name a name yet. Is there a name that you can give us?
Well, the one name that we where we meet at is the Herbert Von King Park, which it used to be the Tompkins Park. But Herbert Von King was also a member of our Bedford-Stuyvesant area, and he was nominated the first mayor of Bedford-Stuyvesant.
First mayor of
Yes,
Bedford-Stuyvesant.
because he was very instrumental in getting our community boards together and the senior citizens together and the community block associations. And because of his efforts, the community board had decided to rename Tompkins Park Von King Park.
So on your show, what artists have you featured?
So far, I have featured the Nubian Conservatory of Music, which is part of our coalition. They young adults that sing and play classical instruments. We've also done a show on African music saved from extinction, where we interviewed artists who was a professor, musicologist, that has come up with instrument that, or actually it's called green notation. She wrote music for the African drum and African dance. And in line with doing that one segment, we had another segment where we brought in hip hop. So we had Bless Me videos in there with one of our producers, and we had another upcoming artist, Wayne Winston from Nonstop Productions, who is part of our coalition, who gets talented teenagers to perform in fashion shows and singing debuts or whatever.
Nonstop Productions.
Nonstop Productions. That's out of Bedford-Stuyvesant as well.
Also. Okay. We want to get back to you and ask you a little bit about other personalities, but I wanted to step back over to Mr. Sidney Moshette Jr. and Bedford-Stuyvesant and beyond. In terms of that particular show, I've worked on one of your shows where it was about writers, and your wife hosted.
Yes.
I think that was one of the first shows you've ever done.
That was probably the fourth show. The first show had to do with the math tutorial that happens at St. John's Recreation Center, run by George Harvey, which has been in existence, I guess, about 20 years, providing math support for high school students. The second show had to do with a Brooklyn Old Timers Foundation annual event, which was filmed by another producer, Larry White, of M&L Productions, and who has a show called The Inner Beat. Yeah.
And he recently won an award.
I was fortunate to have been selected to serve as host on that Kwanzaa videotaping at the John Henry Clark House in 1999. And that was the award-winning show. And it was repeated again, the filming that is, this past December 28th. So that would be coming shortly, I believe, this month.
Is that something that is then destined to become a regular thing?
We'll see.
An annual thing, okay. Now, you're also a frat brother.
Yes.
What frat?
Phi Beta Sigma fraternity.
Okay.
And just recently we taped Sophia Bandelli, who was the director of the Women's Center at Medgar Evers College, where she conducted a seminar for the local Sigma chapter on domestic violence.
Yes.
Yes. So that's in the can. So that's ready to be shown. Yes.
Okay, now Phyllis, what politicians have you had on your show?
I don't necessarily look for politicians to be on my show. I think that's counterproductive, I should say. I don't think that bringing politicians on my show to say things that are of little importance should be something I should do. What I try to do is get people to understand how important it is to vote by bringing issues in the community to the forum and discussing them, and then talking about how you go about doing that. For instance, the immigration issue. Many people who are not citizens yet, who are really undocumented aliens, really think that we are close to having amnesty. This is not true. And So it would behoove me not to bring politicians here to talk around the issue, and I wouldn't be able to say, you're not really getting to the issue, rather than just bring people who are professional in that area to tell people what they need to do. And they need to lobby, they need to write to their politicians, they need to go and stand at their door and scream if that's necessary. They need to email them, they need to do all kinds of things that's important for lobbying to know that we realize that we're not getting anywhere on this issue. We have hundreds of thousands of young people in America who've lived here all their lives. Till 1995, it was fine that they live here and never become a citizen, never have a green card. Now they've been here all their lives, no green card because it wasn't required. Now they can't get a green card to get them on that road to become citizens. And the country allowed this to happen and provided no viaduct for this to happen smoothly for people who are law-abiding and have been here forever. So they're left without jobs and without future.
I find it interesting. I don't mean to harp on the race issue, but I guess I do to certain. Now, would people of color find it much harder? Would they be in a harder spot in that particular situation?
Probably so, but the reason that I think they're in a harder spot is that we don't have politicians who lobby for us, who are willing to go to bat for us the way others do. For instance, we have coming into this country refugees, very often Russian refugees, whom I serve in my position at Visiting Nurse Service. They come in, they have beachfront property apartments when they get here. They have Medicaid, they have Medicare, they have food stamps, they have SSI. Now, my nurses at VNS can't understand, how do they have SSI and Medicare? Well, the government has arranged this for certain refugees.
Also, Cuba
For certain refugees.
special status,
Okay.
isn't it?
On the other hand, when we have the same problem in the Caribbean, and we needed the Haitians to come in,
Yes.
certainly like that, we didn't have our politicians going to bat for them the same way we had Jewish politicians going to bat for Jewish people who needed to come here when they said that they were being oppressed. I mean, it was obvious that Haitian people were being oppressed.
So how do you bring that about with your show? So you don't bring in on politicians. Who do you bring on?
I bring in people who know about the immigration issues so they can inform people what they have to do and where the issue stands.
Okay, that's powerful stuff. I really appreciate what you just said, and we need more of that. And that's what I look for this particular airwaves to actually provide to the listeners in Brooklyn and beyond.
Now, I'd like to know what shows you would like to do in the future. Like, what would you love to do? What issue, like Phyllis, what issue would you like to focus on? Kitty, what artists would you like to highlight, or what segment? And Sydney, what issue?
Criminal justice. We do
Criminal
a
justice.
series on that, different aspects. Arrest through parole and reintegration into the community.
So, and what's your emphasis when you say criminal justice? In terms of, is there a particular thing you're looking to look at and see? Are people of color going into jail at a much faster rate, with longer sentences? I'm wondering, what is your
Alternatives.
focus? Alternatives.
Yeah, yeah. Alternatives to arrest, what goes into the discretion of a policeman, police officer, and all the way through.
It's interesting that you say that with John Ashcroft, the Attorney General, supposedly going to be appointed, it seems, hopefully not. It's interesting that you say that. And with that, I feel that it can only get worse. Hopefully he'll turn right around and do what we don't expect him to. But I don't...
Maybe he'll be the opposite.
Yes, maybe. But I don't foresee that if he actually gets elected. Now, and a focus for you, Phyllis, particular show.
Women, the women's issue is very important to me. I don't think that most people understand, sort of going a bit from Sydney's issue about the criminal justice system. If you listen to politicians or to the media, you would think that most people are being murdered by criminals. Actually, women are being murdered by their husbands in too large a number. More women are murdered by people who love them than any other population in this country. And there doesn't seem to be enough being done about that. Now, my position is a man, and it's usually a man, let's not be foolish about this, a man who is homicidal, clinically, you can test that he's homicidal. He says, I'm going to, Kitty, tomorrow, if you don't cook my breakfast, I'm going to take this gun, I'm going to blow your brain out.
Right.
And Kitty gets really excited. And she goes to the police. She says, the man said, if I don't cook his breakfast tomorrow morning, he's going to take that gun that he was standing in the house with, and he's going to blow my brain out. They say, well, we have to wait till he do that. On the conversely, I'm talking about clinical depression, okay? If the man said, I'm going to take this gun, I'm going to blow my brain out. And if anyone tried to get the authorities interested in this man who says, I'm going to take this gun and blow my brain out, right away, we got the police, the paramedics, the fire department, everyone would be there to save this man, to get him to a hospital because he is clinically depressed, and to get treatment for
So
him.
what do you think the reasons for that is?
Well,
For this
Male dominance.
male dominance?
Well, suicide is taken more seriously than,
Right,
than
but why is
domestic.
suicide taken more seriously than homicide? It's both it's clinical depression. Do I turn against myself with my own hate of myself, or do I turn against the closest person near me?
Well, I know that a lot of women who are in those relationships are just so scared to call the police or get help. So what type of show would you do where maybe you could encourage women to get out of that type of relationship?
Well, I'd want to just talk about the issue that I don't know if it's just the woman getting out of the relationship, or we should look at the policy of how we handle homicide and suicide.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm
I
looking
see
at the
your focus.
policy of how this is handled. I don't think that we should just save men when they're going to kill themselves, or women when they're going to kill themselves. I think when people are homicidal, that they should be taken seriously, and I'm talking about serious clinical issues, and that they should be treated.
So do you think another law should be on the books to make it
I have
more
talked
serious?
to Darrell Towns. Darrell Towns is the heads the mental health committee in Albany. He's a state senator, and I have talked to him about that, about getting some law, okay, where we can really look at this policy, how policy is implemented, and what we might be able to do. Because to just arrest the man and then let him out the next day so he can go shoot Kitty. Kitty's looking at me real weird.
Or anybody else? But so now just moving, because I wanted to get to you. What's a focus of a show that you would like to get in?
First of all, let me say, Kitty would not be here because Kitty was gone. But my show is mostly in line with getting the younger adults interested in educating themselves with what they have. They are gifted people.
Excuse me, Kitty.
Yes.
There was just something that just stuck with me. Someone might be watching. They
Right.
might be in that situation right now. And you just said, I would be gone.
Right.
And you're not making light of that. You're saying seriously,
That's right.
you need to be gone if
That's right.
you are in fear of your life.
That's right.
So I just wanted to say that because I realize people are watching.
Right.
So you were saying about the focus of...
Yes, the focus on we're usually focusing on the young adults because we sense that they are straying, and with their interest or they're being promoted to be interested in the musics and, sports and stuff like that. We're saying, okay, you can do that, but have some foundation, know where you're, like when I spoke about the fact that we had the program, the African Music Saved from Extinction. There's an education there. You know that African music, the drums, and how it's played. We brought someone on that showed that she is born from America, but she took the time to study further into her history, and she developed something as a writing music so that it could be understood. There's a lot of history that went in Africa that is gone, that's dead, that we'll never know about. But here we have a situation where this young lady has gone there and has made it a point to record music that it'll pass down to generations. Now the youngsters coming in, they can play up on that because the last show that we did, we showed hip-hop coming in, and the dances that they were doing, as well as the graffiti, the lyrics, and everything. We tied it in together to show that this is history being passed down. But you must have a foundation. You must know. It's not that it just didn't just happen. You have to know that there's people that did something before, that experimented and made history for you, and now you can make history for yourself and for those coming behind you.
Because we're not here alone.
Exactly.
There are peoples whose shoulders we stand up on.
Exactly.
Okay.
And as for the elders, we encourage the elders to come out and be part of it, to interact intergenerational with the youngsters, so that they don't have this fear of the youngsters, because a lot of them are afraid of the youngsters. And I think it's also that the youngsters are afraid of the elders as
Quickly,
well.
so this is all taking place in Vaughn King Park?
It's in Bedford-Stuyvesant and surrounding areas. We go to various places, but we meet most times at Vaughn King Park, because that's, you know, central to us as far as Brooklyn.
So tell me, do you think we should be getting when their show airs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. We'll start with
Kitty Chavis.
When is
Okay,
your-
I do specials. Right now, I'm planning to do a special February 17th, which is dealing with the electoral disenfranchisement of our people.
Wow.
So we'll be airing, there'll be a public hearing at IS 258, February 17th, between 2 and 5 p.m.
Would you repeat that?
That's
February
17th.
A public hearing.
A public hearing on the disenfranchisement of us as a people.
And where is that going to be?
It's going to be at IS 258, that's Macon and Marcy Avenue.
IS 258, and we're
Right.
going to move quickly to...
Yes, Phyllis.
Brooklyn Must Vote comes on every Wednesday, 9:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the afternoon, on channel 67 and 35. I'm also in Queens, on Queens Public Access Television, channel 35, on Thursday night, 11:30.
Okay. And Sidney Moshette, Jr.
Bedford-Stuyvesant and Beyond is every third Friday at 5 p.m. on channel 67.
All right. I am wondering how we are with time, because I think we pretty much got that covered. You mentioned elders earlier.
Yes.
What do you feel about the flu vaccine?
The flu vaccine, I don't think anybody should take the flu vaccine, but, you know, that's their choice. The reason why I don't feel it should be, I understand when you get the flu vaccine, if you have a minor cold, it will encourage the flu to take full bloom in your system.
I was looking for something I had here, and let me just reach over, as unprofessional as that is.
Do you
and
know
try
of
to
a lot
find
of
it.
elders that have died as a result, or...
Oh, excuse me, I really wanted to get that in, excuse me. It says, when asked why this is so, Dr. Fulberg said it was due to the mercury and aluminum that is in every flu shot. He states that upon getting the flu shot, folk are more... Gotta go? But let me just get in. People are more, the flu shots are related to Alzheimer's. Do some research. Okay, we gotta go.
Yes. Good show.
Good show,
Let's
yes.
continue it.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you, BCAP
Yes,
producers,
thank you.
as host.
Yes.
BCAT produces as host, he says. All right.